Good morning. This is the time and place for the zoning hearing cases for May 26, 2010. My name is Laura Stotler, and I will be conducting the hearing as the hearing officer. We have one case today, and relevant exhibits are posted on the panels located directly behind me. Under the provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30.42 of the Glendale Municipal Code, a conditional use permit shall be granted if four required findings are present. They are: 1, that the proposed use will be consistent with the elements and objectives of the general plan; 2, that the use and its associated structures and facilities will not be detrimental to the public health or safety, the general welfare, or the environment; 3, that the use and facilities will not adversely affect or conflict with adjacent uses or impede the normal development of surrounding properties; and 4, that adequate public and private facilities that would include utilities, landscaping, parking spaces, and traffic circulation measures are or will be provided for the proposed use. In addition, this application involves the sale, serving, or consumption of alcoholic beverages, and there are an additional 5 criteria that also must be considered in making the findings. 1, that the census tract with more than the recommended maximum concentration level of on-sale or off-sale uses, as recommended by the California Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control, that such use does not or will not tend to intensify or otherwise contribute to the adverse impacts on the surrounding area caused by such overconcentration. 2, crime reporting district location of the existing or proposed use with a crime rate which exceeds 20% of the city average for Part 1 crimes as reported by the Glendale Police Department. And there needs to be a finding that such use will not tend to encourage or intensify crime within the district. 3, that the existing or proposed use does not or will not adversely impact any church, public or private school or college, daycare facility, public park, library, hospital, or residential use within the surrounding area. 4, that adequate parking and loading facilities are or will be provided for the existing or proposed use or other reasonable alternatives that satisfy the transportation and parking needs of the existing or proposed use. And 5, that notwithstanding consideration of these criteria, the existing or proposed use does or will serve a public necessity or public convenience purpose for the area. If the evidence presented in the application and at the hearing meets the criteria just described, then the hearing officer can either approve or impose conditions for approval on the case in question. If the findings of fact are not evident, then the request will be denied. Notification of this hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices, which were mailed to property owners located within 500 feet of the subject property, and physically posted on the site in question and also placed in the local newspaper. Hearings will proceed as follows. I'll read the description of the application request. Then I'll read the reports received from other city departments and other letters or communications from interested parties. The case planner will then make a brief overview of the case, giving an analysis and make a recommendation. The applicant will be asked to come forward stating both name and address and will be asked to present the case within a 15-minute time limit. Others in support of or in opposition to the application and any other interested parties will then be asked to come forward to speak, again clearly stating both name and address, and they will have a 3-minute time limit. Lastly, the applicant will be given an opportunity to make closing comments if desired in response to any testimonies given by preceding speakers within a 5-minute time limit. The hearing will be closed and the case will be taken under submission. After the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or by submitting written responses and who have also provided their name and mailing address. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. Under the appeals provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30.62 of the Glendale Municipal Code, the decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures on the procedures from Building and Safety Permit Services section located on the same floor of this building. If you wish to speak, please write your name and address on one of the speaker's forms, which have been provided by the front door, and submit it to our planning assistant. I would also like to inform everyone that the official proceedings of the zoning administrator's hearings are recorded on tape as part of the public record. Okay, for the first case, and the only case today, we have conditional use permit case PCUP 2010-010, located at 3943 San Fernando Road. The applicant is Linda Sebron. The owner is Thompson Family Trust, and the case planner is Dennis Joe. This is an application for a conditional use permit to allow on-site sale of packaged alcoholic beverages for off-site consumption for an existing retail drugstore located at 3943 San Fernando Road within the C31 PPD Commercial Service Zone, Height District 1 Precise Plan of Design Overlay Zone, described as portions of Lot 6 through 12, Block 2, WCB Richardson Subdivision. We do have comments from other departments. From Public Works, we have a notice that the area must be kept free of litter during use of the CUP. Recycling containers must be provided for collection of all cans, glass, and plastic bottles that might be discarded. Recycled items must then be properly disposed of. And those are the only comments that we've received from Public Works. The Police Department, they are noting that the applicant is in the process of obtaining a conditional use permit to allow the off-site sale of alcohol for an existing retail store, the CVS. The CVS is located in Census Tract 3024, which allows 4 off-sale establishments. There are currently 9 off-sale establishments within this tract, with CVS being one of those. Based on the Part 1 crime statistics for Census Tract 3024 in 2008, there were 224 crimes. That's 141% above the citywide average of 93. And the Police Department have also noticed that they do not have any concerns related to this extension of a conditional use permit for the project. We have a note from the Community Redevelopment and Housing Department. They have no major concerns with the project. Fire Engineering has no major concerns with the project. And we have no concerns noted from Neighborhood Services. And same for Glendale Water and Power. And there are no other comments in the file. With that, I'd like to ask our planning assistant to provide a presentation.
Thank you. Good morning, hearing officer. I'm going to approach the board to start my presentation.
Sure.
Once again, this is a conditional use permit application proposing on-site sales of packaged alcoholic beverages for off-site consumption. The background on this for this property in regards to alcoholic beverage sales, there had been a previously approved CUP for packaged sales of alcohol, which was approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals back in February 2003. This application had expired on February 26th of this year, 2010. This property is zoned C3 commercial services with the PPD, which is the precise plan of design overlay. The description of the property, it's a corner lot, approximately 58,000 square feet on the corner of Los Feliz and San Fernando Road. It's a single-story, single-tenant building, which is 16,497 square feet in size, built in 2005. There are 66 vehicle parking spaces. Pedestrians may access the building from the corner sidewalk from Los Feliz and San Fernando Road and from the parking lot on the southern portion of the building. The retail drugstore has operated at this location for approximately 3.5 years and is open from Monday through Sunday, from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Staff believes the existing drugstore with the sales of alcoholic beverages will continue to be consistent with the objectives of the general plan. As back in 2002 in April, a general plan amendment and a zone change was approved by City Council to change this property for commercial uses and had designated the land use element and the zoning map to allow commercial development, which includes general retail, and alcoholic beverages, which is conditionally permitted. The subject business complements the immediate area as it offers a wide variety of range of goods and services to the community and it meets the intent of the general plan and the zoning designation. Staff believes the operation will continue without detriment to the immediate area. And as the hearing officer did previously announce, comments from PD, they did, the comments received by Police Department, the census tract has 9 existing ABC licenses, which 4 is allowed. Although it exceeds the amount of ABC licenses, the current business holds one of the existing, therefore will not intensify the concentration of ABC licenses. And as once before indicated, the PD did mention the census tract is 141% above the city average. However, the PD did note that it did not create any major concerns for law enforcement at this location and this business. Since the application doesn't include any added floor area or modifications of the building, there are adequate utilities, landscaping, parking spaces, and traffic circulation measures provided. Various departments within the city have been notified for this application. No concerns have been raised in the nature that would provide any detriment or any opposition to this application. Overall, staff feels that the applicant's desire to continue to provide the sales of packaged alcoholic beverages for off-site consumption would be supportable based on the surrounding based upon the surrounding facts of this application and the applicant's finding. Staff suggests the hearing officer consider the attached findings and the conditions of approval. This concludes my presentation, and the applicant is available for questions also.
I do have a question for staff. I know that you noted the hours of operation, although it looks like perhaps they've changed their hours. I believe it's 24-hour store at this time. Would you have any concerns with that?
Staff would not have any concerns in regards to that.
Okay.
Although the website does say 7 to 10, or perhaps maybe we can elaborate with the applicant.
Well, that's the applicant. Okay, thank you. With that, I'd like to call forward the applicant, Stephen Jamison and Steve Poliverini.
Thank you, Mr. Joe, and good morning to the hearing officer. Thank you so much, Ms. Stotler. My name is Stephen Jamison. I'm an attorney for CVS. I also had the pleasure of being the attorney for Long's at the time when this application was originally approved a number of years ago and the building was constructed, so I have a little bit of history with this project as well. And I do appreciate all the work that staff has done and meeting with various people from my office and preparing for this hearing. CVS is agreeable to the conditions as originally imposed, as well as the conditions that are proposed to be imposed. This store has been open for 24 hours for as long as I can remember, so I'm not sure why the website might say 7 to 10, but it is a 24-hour store, and I'm glad that staff has no concerns with that. The hours of alcohol sales reflected on the conditions are also acceptable, just specifically since this conditional use permit is primarily for alcohol, at 6 a.m. to midnight, Sunday through Thursday, and 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. Friday and Saturday, and the eve of federal holidays, which is condition number 4 on the original and current conditions. One request that we do have, and then I will go through the various findings that are necessary and the basis as to why we believe that the findings can be made here, and that is that the northeast corner of this building has pedestrian access, as staff indicated. That's great. We're happy with that. We're fine with that. That was a big issue during design review and the conditional use permit process originally, and so that's fine. However, we have found that over the course of the operation in the last several years, between about 11 o'clock at night and 6 o'clock in the morning, it makes it difficult to make sure that that doorway is secure from both any transients that might come in from that corner and also from people that might find it necessary, shall we say, to try and shoplift and go out that door. It would be very helpful if in this process we were allowed to at least address with the fire marshal, if it's okay, according to their codes, and if they feel it's safe, to find a way to restrict that access between 11 p.m. at night and 6 o'clock in the morning. And I apologize to staff that we didn't bring that up to staff before this hearing, but we're hoping that since there's no specific condition requiring that we simply have something that indicates that it's okay in the context of this conditional use permit for this use that we approach the fire marshal, and if, in the opinion of the fire marshal, it's safe, that we be able to restrict that access from 11 o'clock at night until 6 in the morning.
Okay.
And with that, would the hearing officer like me to go through the findings A through D, and then F1 through 5?
Yes, please.
The first code requirement in question is under A, which says, how will the proposed use be consistent with the various elements and objectives of the general plan? The project was the subject of an approved general plan amendment and zone change to C3 in 2001. The site was thereafter developed with a Save-On drugstore, hereafter referred to as a CVS due to corporate reorganizations, and a supporting parking area at the southwest corner of Los Feliz and San Fernando. The existing use is allowed in this zoning and per the general plan. The CVS complements the adjoining neighborhoods and commercial developments by providing goods to the neighborhood community, such as prescription, over-the-counter medication, photo processing, alcohol, toiletries, and various sundries. This use is a proven retail offering at this location in that it has now been operating for many years in a mutually beneficial manner for this community and business. The current application is simply one to renew pre-existing approvals. No modifications are requested, except as I just indicated with respect to the restriction. As to B, the question and the code requirement states, why will the proposed use and its associated structures and facilities not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or general welfare, or to the environment? And the proposed findings we would suggest can be made rely on these facts. The existing use neither compromises the general welfare nor hinders the health and safety of the community or general public. On the contrary, the facility is conveniently accessible via proximity to major thoroughfares. Goods and services are available in a well-maintained, safe, and secure environment. Products and medication satisfying everyday needs are provided as well. As do all CVS pharmacy projects, special care is applied to ensure efficient utility, appearance, and safety. Adequate off-street parking with convenient access to the store is provided. The use is a proven retail offering at this location in that it has now been operating for many years in a mutually beneficial manner for this community and business. The current application is simply one to renew pre-existing approvals. No modifications are requested, but for that one with respect to the restriction. C. Why will the proposed use and facilities not adversely affect or conflict with adjacent uses or impede the normal development of surrounding property? The existing design and uses were reviewed during the rezoning process and determined not to impede or adversely affect the surrounding area. I can personally attest to the fact that it went through many, many hearings with respect to that issue. The existing CVS pharmacy resulted in a reduction in square footage of commercial buildings in the area and reduced the number of driveways onto the site. This use is a proven retail offering at this location in that it has now been operating for many years in a mutually beneficial manner for this community and business. The current application is simply one to renew pre-existing approvals. No modifications are requested, but for the restriction previously indicated. D. Explain how adequate public and private facilities, such as utilities, landscaping, parking spaces, and traffic circulation measures are or will be provided for the proposed use. The adjoining streets are designed to and already support vehicular and pedestrian traffic in this area in a satisfactory manner. The existing use does not produce a significant increase in either traffic or congestion. The city participated in the design of the parking driveways and landscaping originally. The project meets and exceeds the current city requirements in this area. This use is a proven retail offering at this location in that it has now been operating for many years in a mutually beneficial manner for this community and business. The current application is simply one to renew pre-existing approvals. No modifications are requested, but for the restriction. Before I go on to the alcohol-specific conditions F1 through 5, does the hearing officer have any questions or like me to address anything further with respect to those findings I suggested just now?
No, I do have a couple questions for you after you make the alcohol findings.
Okay. I'll go on then. F1, the code requires a finding be made as follows: if the existing or proposed on-site or off-site use is located in a census tract with more than the California Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control recommended maximum concentration, how does such use not or will not intensify or otherwise contribute to the adverse impacts on the surrounding area caused by such overconcentration? According to the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control website, there is only one other off-site or off-sale license in the 3024 census tract, which is where the applicant is located. Renewing the applicant's license or permit here will not create an overconcentration of licenses in the 3024 census tract. The applicant has been operating this location for many years with no disciplinary history by the ABC. There is no reason that the applicant will not continue to be an upstanding member of the business community. This use is a proven retail offering at this location, in that it has now been operating for many years in a mutually beneficial manner for this community and business. The current application before the city is simply one to renew pre-existing approvals. No modifications are requested, but for the restriction. Let me also add to those possible findings the fact that the ABC application that was made originally simply gets renewed, as the hearing officer is aware, every year. This license has not been subject to disciplinary action by the ABC, and there's been no police activity or excessive calls for service, and the police department did indicate they had no concerns. Number two, if the existing or proposed use is located in a crime reporting district with a crime rate which exceeds 20% of the city average for Part 1 crimes, as reported by the Glendale Police Department, how does such use not or will not intend to encourage or intensify crime within the district? The crime rate in this existing project's district is above 20% of the city's average for Part 1 crimes for reasons unrelated to this CVS. However, this is an existing business, and renewing the license will not add any crime to the district. The business has been open in this area for many years, and there is no reason that renewing the license will increase crime in any way. The use is a proven retail offering at this location, in that it has now been operating for many years in a mutually beneficial manner for this community and business. The current application is simply one to renew pre-existing approvals. No modifications are requested, and except for the restriction issue. And once again, the police department has been consulted and indicated no concerns. And we consulted the ABC, and they have no issues or concerns. There's nothing pending of any disciplinary nature that we're aware of. Number three, how does or will the existing or proposed use not adversely impact any church, public or private school or college, daycare facility, public park, library, hospital, or residential use within the surrounding area? The subject property and use has coexisted in this location for many years. There is no reason to believe that the continuation of the operation with strict adherence to the prior imposed conditions and under proper management and supervision will not continue to remain proper in relation to adjacent uses or the development of the community. What's not indicated here but is indicated in the staff report is that none of these other potentially sensitive uses are in fact in the area except for the hospital, and there's a proven track record of a coexistence with the hospital of not causing any problems. This use is a proven retail offering at this location, in that it has now been operating for many years in a mutually beneficial manner for this community and business. The current application is simply one to renew pre-existing approvals. No modifications are requested, but for the restriction possibly of the northeast door at a particular time. Number four, how does or will adequate parking and loading facilities be provided for the existing or proposed use, or other reasonable alternatives satisfy the transportation and parking needs of the existing or proposed use? The existing CVS pharmacy has a private parking lot for its customers at the south side of the building. There are 68 total spaces available in the parking lot, along with numerous street parking. It has a loading facility at the rear of the CVS building, which is located on the northwest side of the building. From my involvement originally with the design process and going through the building of the project and the total demolishment of what was existing there at that time, and the decision to put the loading dock where it is, the parking where it is, and the traffic circulation, it appears that was a good decision at the time back in 2001, and it's proven to be a good decision at that time as well, because it's caused no problems. Seems to work well. This use is a proven retail offering at this location, in that it has now been operating for many years in a mutually beneficial manner for this community and business. The current application is simply one to renew pre-existing approvals. No modifications are requested, but for the potential restriction, of hours on the northeast door. Number 5, notwithstanding consideration of the above criteria, 1 through 4, how does or will the existing or proposed use serve a public necessity or public convenience purpose for the area? There are few establishments in a wide radius that can offer a full service of a grocery store and combine it with responsible retailing of alcoholic beverages and sundries and prescription and other over-the-counter medicines. The business is operated with a liquor license, and no violations have been associated with this privilege. Therefore, the continuation of the use will continue to be compatible to neighboring uses, just as those already existing in the area. This use is a proven retail offering at this location in that it has now been operating for many years in a mutually beneficial manner for this community and business. The current application is simply one to renew pre-existing approvals. No modifications are requested. And I believe that concludes our presentation with respect to findings A through D and F1 through 5, specifically with respect to alcohol.
Okay, thanks. I do have a couple of questions. When I went out to the site, I noticed that there's 2 large storage containers off that alley, the alleyway on the west side of the building. It looks like they're parked in some loading spaces, and I wanted to know when you would be able to remove those because they are in required parking spaces.
Might we be able to respond in such a manner as to say forthwith, which means as quickly as we possibly can?
Okay. As I would probably add that as a condition of approval, that those be removed. Then also I noticed that you have a trash can that's outside of the trash enclosure, and it looks like the trash enclosure itself is quite dirty inside. I'm wondering if is that just temporary? Are you cleaning it up? Because I want to make sure that you're not storing your trash bin outside also in your loading area.
I will assume and respond that it's temporary, that if it has been maintained in any other manner, it will certainly stop to be maintained the way that you saw it, and we'll make sure it's clean and it's all done within the enclosure.
Okay. And then the last question I have is, I noticed that your landscaping along Los Feliz looks great, but along San Fernando Road, it appears that you're missing quite a lot of landscaping. So then I would ask that you replant that to have it look like it does on Los Feliz.
That would be fine in general, and in concept, might we be able to say that we'll replant it and put it back to the way it probably was when it was originally approved? Because when you say just like Los Feliz,
right, I
don't know what that means.
Well, right now you have quite a lot of trash in there. It looks like it could be because the bus stop is there. Looks like a lot of your landscaping is missing. And I'm sure at one time it was there. So if you replant it according to your original approval, that's fine.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Do you have any other questions for me? I don't see anybody else in the audience unless there's somebody else who would like to speak.
I do have, if I may just have just a moment. If those bins are in required parking, they'll certainly be moved right away, forthwith. What I was just asking Mr. Polverini, who's the store manager, is if he was aware of physically how many spaces there are actually. I know in the application and the approval it says that there's 68. I'm assuming that code requires at least 68. If in fact there are physically additional parking spaces, might we be able to have some discretion to have some storage in a container like that that may cover a parking space or 2, so long as it otherwise exceeds the number of parking spaces otherwise available?
That would be a modification to your existing your DRB approval. And so generally, no, we don't allow outdoor storage, especially not in a parking lot. We want storage within a building. You may be able to modify your building to put the storage inside a building depending on your square footage and your parking. I'm not familiar. I haven't looked that up. It would be a separate entitlement. But generally, no, we do not want outdoor storage in a parking lot.
We'll address it another time then. Thank you very much.
Sure. Any other questions or comments that you'd like to add?
Mr. Polverini is the store manager. In case the hearing officer has any questions, he's here to answer that. We don't otherwise have any other presentation. If the hearing officer would like to hear any more information about why it's necessary, why we'd like to see the ability to impose some type of restriction on the use of that door at the northeast corner, between 11 at night and 6 in the morning, we can provide that, and perhaps Mr. Polverini can talk about that, if the hearing officer is willing to consider such a condition.
Well, actually, I think it makes a lot of sense because I'm hearing that you want to have that condition for safety.
Right.
It's so not only you can maintain the safety within your store for your employees, but also for the public because you don't want people running in and out stealing things.
Right.
So now that makes sense if it's that hour of the night. And I'm understanding that you want that closed between 12 p.m. and 6 a.m. We can absolutely add that on as a condition. We can also modify the hours to show that you do have a 24-hour store, and we would go with the hours that you have in their existing CUP for when you could actually sell alcohol.
Perfect. And I think, though, it was 11 p.m. to...
I have 11, oh, 11 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Right.
Right? Okay. If I said something else, I'm sorry. 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. And that would be just the northeast corner
Correct.
door. Okay. I don't have any other further questions, and I don't see anybody else wanting to add additional information. I can tell you I do intend to approve this project, and I do want to have I want to wordsmith that one condition, and with that, we'll close this public hearing and I'm taking the matter under submission because we do need to modify your conditions of approval. They won't be exactly the way you are. That's why I can't actually approve it right here. But we will modify it. I do intend to approve it, and we will get your approval out shortly.
Thank you very much. And the modification that you're intending to do with respect
Just
to the
like
conditions?
the hours.
Okay. Thank you so much.
And with that, this hearing is now officially closed. And I want to thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.